Hello, everybody. This is not. It's not a review. It's just a kind of analysis video of issue 6 of Batman White Knight. It's going to be a shorter video because I'm not going through the whole thing. I'm just going to point out a couple of things I didn't like about it. Because there is so much to like about it that it's apparent. I think that if you're watching number 6 of this, you're probably committed to the series already. There's no point in me trying to do a review to get you to buy it. And it's held itself to such a high standard and established such a high standard for itself that when it fails to meet that standard, I think we need to look at why. And I certainly wanted to think about why. So, the issues I am having are with pacing and with believability. Now, of course, it's a superhero comic, so you're suspending disbelief and all that, and certain things have to happen for there to be a story. Like, you don't want to overanalyze it, but what I'm saying is, by its own logic, it has to make sense. So, of course, I'm going to suspend my disbelief. Of course, it's a superhero story, but if you set certain rules in place or certain expectations, you have to stick with those. Otherwise, you confuse and lose the reader. And they've not lost me by any means. It's just a case of there are improvements that can be made, and I want to point them out for the sake of the work and for the sake of me being able to analyse things and for the sake of any writers or artists watching this. So my issues, pacing and believability. So the first thing that bugged me was this little scene here. Paw Patrol are discussing... fucking look at them, they're Paw Patrol. Paw Patrol are discussing how they're going to take down the Batman, and they're arguing, and Barbara leaves, but Dick stays, but he's not happy about staying. He's just kind of caught between a rock and a hard place here. And so he punches out Napier. Now, I don't understand that at all. It felt so out of place and so almost hysterical because it wasn't warranted and it wasn't dealt with correctly after the fact. It was just kind of there. And a simple staring, nose to nose, staring each other in the eye would have added so much more than this sort of cartoonish punch. It felt unnecessary and odd. Especially in an issue that is so action-laden. It's not like they needed to put any action into this issue because it's so action-heavy. In a good way. I mean, I've read it like 5 times now, and I barely breathed through the course of the whole thing. So it was really nice, a little bit of analysis of the Batmobiles side by side. You get to see that the modern one is kind of a stripped down version of the classic, and it's so nice to see the classic in the comic because they always put these in the Batcave as decorations, but to actually see one in action in the comic, that's a good bit of kind of fan service there, I think, and it looks great. I think it looked better here even than it did in live action, just because it's rendered so brilliantly and the line work and all that is spot on. And is that a Decepticon logo? Is that a coincidence or is that a Decepticon logo? Is it? Maybe it's not quite. I don't know. What? Jury's out on that one. It's missing certain details. We'll let it off. So this is another thing. There's no excuse for expository dialogue in a comic. A comic is a visual medium. And so why is it that when Gordon... I'm assuming you've read this and know the plan. They have the plan. So why is it that we have the plan explained to us? We see the plan being executed. It's very obvious what's going on. And he's wearing a blindfold, but he has to tell us that he's wearing a blindfold and why. There are various instances of this through this comic. And it bugs me every time. It's not a deal breaker, but again, there's no need for it. So we move on further, and we get to the Batmobiles clashing, and it crashes. Which, again, if you look, Gordon's one, the old school Batmobile is on its side, and the new one is, that thing could still move. This thing can withstand rockets and shit. Like. It's we've not really had a power level established for it, so I guess I can take this. This is fine. Okay, it's crashed. It's unusable. All right, I'll accept that. And we have seen the other Batmobiles or the Paw Patrol Batmobile's giving chase at this point. So that's okay. This is brilliant, this whole little sort of escape scene. I love Batman running from the cops. There's something right about it. And the art is beautiful. And then here's where it loses me. Because here's the number one thing. The fanboy in me is still rooting for you. Part of me never wants this to end. Now, I've said before in other videos that just because you're pointing out something that you're doing doesn't make it any better. If you're pointing out something in a comic that you're doing, like you're lampshading it within the story, that still doesn't make it any better just because it's self-aware. All it means is it's self-aware. That can be good or bad. And in this case, it's bad because the whole thing is unbelievable. Batman and the Joker come nose to nose, and the Joker's like, no, you want to fight me like a man. So Batman takes off his cape and his belt and drops everything, and they have a fight. Now, it seems a bit strange to me, but I'm with it. I'm still with it. I'm okay. Now, they've said that Jack Napier is on huge amounts of steroids and wants to beat Batman mano a mano just because. And that's fine, we knew this was coming. I don't care how many steroids you're on. A knockout is when the brain moves slightly in the fluid sac that surrounds it between it and the skull. Look at that fucking punch. I don't care how many steroids you're on, you're not getting up from that. And yeah, I know, it's a superhero comic. Fine. Now, we have this fight, and it is actually a good fight. It is very good. And Batman has been in a car crash. And this is what I'm not wanting this to come across as is that I'm angry Batman lost. Because we knew he was going to lose. We've seen him in Arkham already, remember? So that's fine. I'm cool with that. I just want the payoff to be believable. And it kind of was, and it kind of wasn't. So even then, okay, Batman is battered and bruised, and he's been in a car crash and all that sort of stuff. But he's still been around the world and trained in, like, let's say upward of, I know some people say it's like in the hundreds, but let's just say that he's trained in 20 martial arts and some of the hardest taskmasters in the world. Jack Napier's done fuck all. He's quick, and we've never, ever, ever, ever seen the Joker beat Batman without a weapon or a dirty trick. That's why he does it. He doesn't do it because he's the Joker and he wants to beat Batman that way. He does it because he physically can't beat Batman and has to do it that way. That's how it works. It's not a choice thing. It's because he has to. He can't beat Batman in a hand-to-hand situation. So I don't care how many steroids he's on, because I have Exhibit A here, right? Now, we know from the previous issue that Batman goes toe-to-toe with Bane and Killer Croc in the past. Then we see in the previous issue that he goes toe-to-toe. He does lose, but he's fighting both of them at once in a collapsing building and survives. Okay? So bear in mind, you could say, okay, but maybe Napier is stronger than them. So that's why I bring out Exhibit A, because look, this is them getting hit by vehicles that we are told are as powerful as the Batmobile, and we've already seen them get hit by the Batmobile, and still standing. Not even knocked down, still standing, and then it takes a parachute between the two of them, wrapping them up. That's the only thing that can stop these two dudes. And Batman can fight them. Even if he doesn't win, he can fight them. So, how on earth am I supposed to believe that Jack Napier can hold his own against the Batman? It seems ridiculous to me, and I know we know that Joker is extremely quick. It's been a motif throughout the whole thing, but again, I'm talking believability here. So, when it's a simple stand-up fight, no tricks, and it's not even really a contest of strength here, because Batman lands lots of blows that should have been, knockout blows and stuff, and okay, yeah, he misses this one. And these panels are beautiful, by the way. This isn't just a pure criticism. And then it's, like I said, here comes the dirty trick where he, grabs Batman's belt and chokes him with it. Now, it just seemed like something Batman would never fall for. And even then, look at him. Look at the size of him. He knows, more martial arts than I know frickin' names of countries. you're telling me he couldn't execute some kind of shoulder throw here? It seems unbelievable to me. I mean, there's lots of ways. If Joker had jumped out and they'd fought and lost, and then Joker pulled a gun and shot him in the chest, I'd have been fine with that. If he hadn't even fought him and had just jumped out with a pipe, you know, like in The Dark Knight, and he had like a pipe or a golf club or something and started just smacking the crap out of him, I'd have believed that. But this just seems strange. And again, just because you've predicted my reaction doesn't make this any more believable. Also, I see you teasing that Dark Nightstick there. Still never seen this in action, and I want to see it. I hope we get that in the next issue or something. I want to see Batman using the Nightstick Tonfa thing. So, yeah, that's my issue is with believability. Now, you might just say, oh, you're spurging out over nothing, and, you know, that's fine. We can differ in opinion on that. I'm just saying it doesn't feel believable to me, and it could have done. That's all. Now, the final thing. Oh, for fuck's sake. God, don't remind me. The final thing. This is all cool. This is all good. You know, the Joker regrets his decision. This is all awesome. The scene with him taking him to Arkham and the roles are reversed finally, and people are like, oh God, what topsy-turvy world are we living in? So, this is another piece of expository dialogue, right? The police are flying around, and again, I'm assuming you've read this, and they send Joker on the buildings with the ice. Why does Commissioner Gordon need to say they've written something on the buildings in ice? We can see that, Jimbo. Like, your command of the obvious is just astounding. Well done. And then we have this little dialogue here, which is great. And then we have this part here, where this is where my issue with pacing comes in, right? My issue with pacing is here they're talking about getting Batman back to deal with the Neo Joker and the freeze gun when they've just put Batman away. And they do indeed say, look, I spent a year putting him in prison. We get absolutely no indication that it's been a year. None. This whole story could have taken place in a couple of weeks, really. And there's nothing pacing-wise for me, having reread it, that says it's been going on a year. And then, just because you have had, right, when Batman got arrested, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 whole pages since Batman had been arrested. Now, I can see how that, when you were writing it as Sean Gordon Murphy, must feel like, oh, I've let enough time pass here. This feels long enough. But just because it feels long enough when you've written it doesn't mean it feels long enough for the reader, because these, to me, all these events were taking place simultaneously, or at least within within a day of each other. We don't get any sense of the passage of time. And so when they're talking about getting Batman out again, I just don't buy it. I was reading this but you literally just put him away, and I mean literally. I mean, this to me was Jack Napier literally just back from the fight, literally just got his shirt back on and home, and they're already talking about getting him out. I have no sense of the passage of time in this book, and that really bugs me, and that pacing issue really bugs me. Again, it's fine. I know where I am. I didn't stop me enjoying the book, but these are improvements that can be made, and I think should be made. And I'm only saying this because the book is already such a huge, high standard that, would it have killed them to put in a little text box saying later that day, or 1 week later, or even the date, or even just the sun coming up and going down, a couple of establishing shots? It helps the pace of the book. I tore through the book and I was reading, panel after panel, and I was super excited about the whole thing. But I think that there's a lot of work to be done on that pacing. So let me know what you guys thought. I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly massively enjoyed it. I'm just saying this because I feel, like I say, improvements can be made, and let's let them be made, and it's worth thinking about for all of us. Being a discerning reader and being good authors and all that stuff. So let me know what you guys thought, and I shall catch you in the next one. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again. Bye.